Yes, Kevin McGoldrick, McGoldrick.
So start off by telling me tell me about this process that you've been going through.
Yeah. So basically, around probably mid-December was just before Christmas, I think. Had two young people come knocking door to door. Hello, we're from Simply Marine. And we're just looking, can we look at your furnace? And so my wife takes it down and shows it to them. Our furnace, by the way, was about 12 years old, working quite fine, nothing wrong with it. They said, oh, you know what, we've got this new high efficiency furnace. Can we see some of your energy bills? So she pulls a few out and shows them. I said, yep, okay. Well, you know what, if you install our new furnace, it'll cost you $84 a month to rent it from us. But in actual fact, at the end of the day, it's only going to cost you about $6 a month because you're going to save so much money in energy. And that was completely false.
So what's going through your head at that moment when they're telling you?
Well, we'll see, for me, and now it makes me feel a bit silly, but I'm not really being, I'm not that used to your furnaces here, and I thought, well, high efficiency, how efficient was the old furnace? As it turns out, the old furnace was, the newer furnace is about 20% more efficient. So, if your average monthly bill is $100, it's going to save you $20, To get the savings, they were saying you'd have to be spending about $400 a month on gas, which certainly nowhere near that. So that was just, that was a completely untruth. Now, whether it was these people that were telling lies or whether they'd been trained to just go and say these things, I'm not sure about that. But it was certainly very untrue, and that was the thing that enticed us to go with it. Okay, we ended up actually, when we got our first gas bill came in, there was no significant, no noticeable saving at all. And when the next one came in, it was actually even higher. So I rang them about that, and they said, oh, well, perhaps we can come out and we can look at it, maybe just adjust it or something. Look, it's been installed and set up by a technician. It should, brand new furnace, it should be running to the optimum. And and so basically it was just an outright deception, and that was what enticed us to remove our perfectly good furnace and install their one. Okay, the next thing that happened was we ended up getting a letter in the mail saying that there had been an interest registered on our property, which means that when we go and sell it now, we have to declare, well, okay, it's not our furnace, it's their furnace. And I thought, wow, because Mackenzie, we rent a furnace from them, we have a rental property, and they don't put a lien on our property, so the other thing was that it was, they quoted us $84 a month, which was $1 a month more expensive than Mackenzie, but we thought, well, that's not too bad. However, what was not disclosed to us was that in the contract that they will, not can, but will increase the rental rate by 3.5% every year. And the other thing that was not explained to us was that there is this formula they use to how to pay it out. Because as soon as I found out how bad this was and how many people were complaining about this company, I contacted one of their managers and said, I would like to pay it out right now. And this guy, he said to me, okay, yep, we'll look at that. Yeah, if you want to buy it right now, it's going to cost you $8,400. And I said, what? I said, Mackenzie, who was a smaller company than you guys, can supply and install this thing for $4,500. By the way, after a bit of shopping around, I found a local guy who could supply and install the same furnace for $3,200. Okay, so I said, you're a bigger company, you're charging $1,000 more, but instead of saying, oh, I have to buy it for $5.5, which you've got listed on the front of the contract, it's going to be $8,400. Oh, you have to look at our formula. And I said, well, why is that? And they said, well, when you get a cell phone, you get a contract. If you decide to leave early, you've got to pay a lot more. And I said, well, yeah, because they're giving you a phone worth $1,000. If you stay with them for 2 years, it pays for the phone. If you decide to leave early, you've got to pay it out. That's, of course. But here we go. This thing, $5,500 is a very inflated price. So even if I gave you $5.5, you're going to make a good profit on this deal. The only reason why you'd want to go more is because you're going to miss out on getting all the other money out of us that you're going to rip out of us. Because, you know, surely there's got to be some justification in the fairness of what you choose to sell something for, you know? And the thing is that with their formula, and I've plugged it into a spreadsheet here, and it's going to take 16.6 years before it's paid off, right? And in that time, it's going to cost over $22,000. That's how much money they're going to make from us. And that's not including the last point that I'm really peeved about is, and when we choose to rent a furnace for our rental property, the reason why we do that is because you have peace of mind. Anything goes wrong with it, it breaks down straight away, you tell the tenant, yeah, just bring them up, Mackenzie will come, and they do that, bang, and fix it. And Simply Green claim to do that as well. However, in the contract, another thing which was not explained to us was that we are responsible for maintaining it. And when I rang this guy and asked to speak to one of the managers, this young kid saying to me, well, all that means is you've got to replace the filter. And I said, oh, is that all? Okay, well, I'm happy to do that. But I think you'll find it's more than that. Oh no, that's all it is. Because when you read their fine print, it says you have to maintain it. I have to maintain their furnace. Can you believe it? And so if we don't do that, it could be liable that the warranty could be voided. And that means if something breaks down in it, they don't have to fix it. Like these scammers just cover every single base. And when I questioned this guy, I said to him, well, if you look at the owner's manual that was left with the furnace, and I won't go to the exact page, but I can tell you now, and I've also backed up by the good people at Mackenzie that said, yes, you do have to service it. And I know they come and service ours, and it is just cleaning up the inside to make sure all the gas balance pressures and flows are all within the right standards, like tuning up a car. You can't just let it keep running and running if you want to get optimum performance. And the manufacturer says here, you have to do this once a year, otherwise it can affect your warranty. So this joker on the phone saying to me, no, it's only changing the filter, but this is what you have to do. And to pay a technician to do this, which is what you'd have to do, it's not something a layperson can do, it's going to cost you about $90 a year. So that's another cost. So that was factored in with Mackenzie, and we just naively assumed we were comparing apples with apples because we're renting it. Obviously, it's your furnace. Obviously, you're gonna look after it, aren't you? It's not mine, it's yours, I'm renting it. And now you want me to fix it, you want me to maintain it? Come off the grass, mate, you know, that's what a joke. Yeah?
Wow.
So, you know, and so factor that in there. So factor that in $90 a year also for the next 16 years and add that onto the $22,000 for a product which is worth less than $3,500, you know? So, you know, people have to make money, you accept that. But if Mackenzie can make a good profit at renting a furnace to us at $83 a week, and by the way, their clause says they can increase it, but they have not had an increase for the last 10 years. And they've said to me, if we do a price increase, it's going to be on a new installation, not on an existing one. I mean, if they've bought a furnace and installed it, why would you need to increase the price? If the price of new furnaces go up, this furnace has already been bought. So the only justification for this is just pure greed. So beware, people. These people come to your door, just say thank you, goodbye, send them on their way. And when dealing with anyone from door to door, look, I feel a bit silly now, but you know, the people were nice and all that. But you know, really stop and think. No matter how good a deal it looks, and how much, the more they press you back, I might just say, yeah, okay, look, let me look into it, leave the paperwork with me, and give me at least 24 hours. That's a good rule to apply. And because I don't want to see anyone else get caught like this, okay?
How does it make you feel that, like Dale's story, there is other people that have been affected by Simply Green? How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel sad that there's people in the world that are so dishonest. You know, like my wife and I, we're good Christian people. We don't claim to be perfect, but we try to treat people with love and respect. And honesty and integrity are big things in our book. And, you know, I guess we naively think that someone comes to your place and they're acting nice and all that, that's what they are, you know. But there's a lot of wolves out there in sheep clothing, And when someone's motivated by greed to make money, you can get people to do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So just beware.
So walk me through the timeline. They came December 2015.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And now we're in almost June. What
Yeah.
is your game plan moving forward?
Well, I have put in a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, and they've come back to me. We've had some discussions going on. I've spoken to Simply Green on a couple of occasions. You know, he kindly said to me, "Oh, well, look, we could change this to a buy to own deal, which would have ended up costing me about $8,000." But the thing he sent me out a contract to look at that, but of course this time I read the contract, didn't I? And there was things in about it that I didn't sort of understand. It wasn't really plain English, and I thought I don't want to jump from the pot into the fire here. So I'm sort of hoping that maybe if there's enough people complaining about this company, if we can all get together and maybe form a class action group or something like that, and I mean, it's a difficult thing because I know at the end of the day, the form my wife signed it says, I have read and agreed to these terms, so, it makes us look a bit silly, doesn't it? It's like, so again, don't sign something you don't. How often do you sign something? There's all this miles of fine print. You just go, oh, yeah, that's just a fine print. Who worries about that? But people like that, they get lawyers to write all this down, so they just get you in a nice watertight hold. And so look, I don't know. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I know that we haven't been treated right. This is not right. This is not a fair way to treat people. This is just pure greed. It's not treating people with respect. To me, for a business to flourish, you respect your customer. It's someone who's valuable that you cherish and look after, not like it's a potential someone to rip off. And so at the end of the day, companies like this, if that's their attitude, they're not going to last long in the world. So news gets around.
And as for the structure of the actual furnace itself, has that been set up properly?
Yeah, it was installed quite well. It seems to be performing well. When the SGI guy came to do the inspection, there was a couple of little minor gas leaks. I don't think it was anything to really jump up and down about it. He called the installer back in and got him to fix it, and there was something he wasn't happy about with the compliance. He had to install a hatch. There was another issue actually when we used the air conditioner for the first time. It was like really noisy, and I thought, what's going on here, and looking into it, I just figured, yeah, this new furnace must have a much stronger recirculation fan than the old one because it's blowing really hard. So I rang up the Simply Green, and they said, oh, well, you didn't buy the air conditioner off us, so we'll send someone out, but if the problem is the air conditioner, you're going to have to pay. I said, listen, mate, don't start. The problem here is your fan is blowing too hard. I said, don't start coming on with stuff like that. It wasn't making a noise like that before you installed your furnace. Anyway, the guy came out, and sure enough, that's what it was, and he reconfigured it to slow the fan down, and it was okay. So that part of the experience was okay. Look, in my mind, I mean, even though one part of me thinks I got a bad taste with this company, I'd really just love to just get right out and have nothing to do with them. But, if they were willing to say that we will give it in writing that we will not increase the monthly rate, it will just stay at $84 a month, which, as I said again, they're still going to make a lot of money out of that. They don't. That's just pure greed to make it any more. The furnace is already purchased. There's no need. And if they were agreed that they will come and service it, just like this manual says, that they will service their furnace as is required. If they would do those two things, I would be much happier to stay with them.
So that increase of 3.5%, that was in the contract?
It was in there, yeah, but it was never explained to us. They just said, oh, look, you're going to save so much money. They come out with this lie saying, you're going to save so much money with this new furnace, it's practically going to pay for itself. It's going to cost you $6 a month. You know, it's only 80 for a month. There was no mention, well, 80 for a month plus it's going to go up 3.5% every year, and you're going to be locked in for the next 17 years. They don't say none of that. You know, it's not the way of an honest person to do business. And when I told this guy over the phone, this is the way the person acts, he sort of said, oh, well, perhaps we have to look in at retraining them. You know, like, you know what, if it was my business and I had a customer, I would say, well, gee, look, I'm very sorry to hear that our company wasn't properly, you know, I would have acted a lot of empathy, would have offered to try and do something about it. But, you know, in my mind, especially when they said, oh, it's like getting out of a cell phone contract, or that's why you got to pay the fee. They're just throwing bull crap at you to try and set up a smoke screen, you know, to throw you off the scent, eh? Mm.
Yeah. So now going forward, you have actually dealt with the company. Many people have had troubles even getting in touch with them. What have you taken away from, like you just said, obviously they're throwing stuff at you, but what have you been taking away from your interactions with Simply Green?
Basically, that some of the people I've dealt with are at best ill-informed. Like again, this guy is supposed to be a manager, right? Supposed to be a manager. Oh, the only servicing you need to do is to change the filter. That's not true. That's incorrect. Here is the service manual from the manufacturer. And it's written in black and white. This is what has to be done. So I'm thinking, like, is he ill-informed? If that's the case, that's not very good, having a manager in your company that doesn't even know what he's talking about. Or is he just throwing more lies at me? You know, like, is there anyone in this company that is honest and trustworthy? You know, so.
What's the biggest take-home message from this experience?
Just really just wait. Never sign something straight away. Wait at least 24 hours and take your time to read it, you know. The person that's doing the selling, they're the ones that are desperate, you know. You don't have to be desperate. You just take your time. Make sure you understand everything. And if you don't understand it, never sign it. Never. Because, you know, like I said, the way it looks now, if things don't change, we're doomed to pay $22,000 for a product that's worth $3,500.
So as of May 31st, 2016, will you be having to pay out that amount? Do you see yourself?
Well, at the moment, we are just paying the monthly fee. We're just waiting to see how it goes. You know, look, I was wanting to do something about it a bit sooner, but I've been pretty sick for about 6 weeks. I'm just starting to feel a bit better now, and I think some of it might be stress related, and I certainly did have quite a bit of stress over this situation. You know, like you know, I'm feeling a bit better about it now. I'm just saying, well, I'll put that in God's hands and see where it ends up. You know, so yeah.
That's all I had. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything you think we missed? Anything about the timeline, or?
Just re-emphasising that our existing furnace was quite alright. There was nothing wrong with it.
Maybe explain why you made that jump then.
It's sitting out in the garage, you know. Oh, it's just that when they came, and they're going, oh, well, look, we can give you this brand new one. And, you know, I must say probably 2 times over the last 3 or 4 years, we had a minor problem with it. We had to get a technician in to change a few small parts. So, but it was still working fine. You know, it's sitting out in the garage. It looks still like in very good condition. You know? So, but I guess it was just the thought that my wife was thinking, well, okay, well, if we get this one, and well, since it's practically going to pay for itself, why not get it in, and that way there'll be no more headaches. If it breaks down, that's their problem, eh? So, you know.
What have your monthly energy bills been like?
There was never any noticeable saving. So, you know, look.
Do you have one on you, or we can grab one after? But just to take a look at them.
You know, in theory, we could have potentially saved maybe about $20 a month, but I didn't see it. I looked at the first 2 that we had after it came on. First one was about the same as the previous month, and the next one if anything was, higher, so, yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add, or I'm sure we can discuss it when we look at the furnace, but is there
Yeah,
anything else?
well, I think I've covered everything here. The key points were the misinformation that they give, the false promise of money, of energy saving. They didn't tell us about they were going to register security on our property, that it would increase by 3.5%, and that we have to service the unit, and that if we wanted to buy it out immediately, it would cost $8,400.
That's a lot.
Unbelievable, eh? Yes, yes. Beware. The tan is mighty. Beware of what